What's up, y'all? We are back. Marriage Monday live. And we are live here with Daniel and Kendra from the West Coast. And who we got over there on the East Coast?
East Coast.
Dennis and Angela.
Hey, Tawana.
Our old faithful Tawana is hanging out with us tonight.
All right. Y'all done jumped in the comments already and everything. Come on now.
What?
Keep it going, y'all. Keep it going. Talk to us.
Awesome. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. As always, you got, most of the time you got both of us on here. And tonight we are talking about it takes a village to raise a marriage. All right. So that's kind of analogous to, when you first get married, you're kind of like a baby. You got a baby marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the words say, eventually you got to grow up and mature and get off the milk, right? So the word talks about that as well as us being children of God, that we have to grow up. And as a marriage, your marriage has to grow up as well.
Mm-hmm.
And just like children grow up in community, like when, I don't know about y'all, but when I was young, right, grandma had the ability to tell you something and make sure you were straight. Auntie down the street, even the aunties that weren't your aunties, but they were your play aunties.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everybody in the community kept you as a kid, kept you straight. So,
yes,
in a similar fashion, our marriages, we believe, need to live in a community that can help us with our perspective on our marriage and help us grow up. I like it. I like the way Angie puts it a lot. She's like, marriage is a grow up university. I think
grow up plan.
Grow up plan.
Mm-hmm.
University too. That works. It's all the same.
And I'm actually so glad you brought that up, because I was thinking about that since I knew this. What we were talking about is that you and we're Southern. So we grew up in the South. We got a bunch of cousins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a gang of cousins.
Too many to count.
Our parents have big families. We come from really big families. And when
my grandmother, how many kids your grandmother had?
My grandmother had, I think it was 11. My mom's mom, I think she had 11. So I have 11 aunts and uncles. And then, when my grandmother, I'll tell y'all like this. When my grandmother passed away in 1994, in the obituary, she had 100 grandchildren.
Wow.
So that was 30 years ago. So you can only imagine how many she has now.
Wow.
Yeah.
My mom, she has, it's not 11, but she one shy one. It's 10 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother, my dad's mom had 15.
Ooh.
And my mom's mom, she had 6.
Wow.
So.
Somebody getting busy.
Let's get busy.
Yeah, man. They got busy back then.
Out in the country, they had something to do out there, boy. Okay.
Right. They didn't have no TV, so they had to do something. They didn't have no social media, so they had to get it in. They have a lot of distractions, so they were like, we're gonna do what we got to do around here. So growing up in a big family, you learn about community, and you learn the value of community and having people. And it's really only in hindsight that I look back and I was thinking about, even when as our kids were being raised, the fact that we had them in small groups, and they used to have family group. We used to have family groups and stuff. That's how we met Angie and Dennis.
Mm-hmm.
And
lifers.
Yeah, and without community, we would have been out here in Arizona alone. Like it would just been us 4 and no more, our family of 5 and no more.
Right.
And so that's one of the many reasons why we believe so much in the power of community. What do y'all think about that, Bullocks?
I love the auntie analogy, because I feel like that is real life in so many ways, not just growing up as a kid, but becoming a young person and then being married. I see that, what do you want to call it, that thread throughout my life. Like when times are hard, I had aunties and uncles who came and talked to me, who loved on me, who encouraged me. When I became a young adult, I had certain people who mentored me and just really poured into me. And then when we got married, we had the same thing. So we either had community or people mentoring. But I feel like when times get hard and you may feel weak or you may not feel strong enough or you might even be close to giving up, I feel like that's when that community surrounds you and encourages you and helps you. And even like I remember certain times in my life where it was just like, I don't really know what to do. And then somebody would call me. And then like I would go somewhere, maybe small group or something, and then somebody would say something to me or pray over me. And it was just like God just started speaking through multiple people into my life. So I just think the power of community, having people in your life who want to do life with you, it's just a really beautiful tool, especially in marriage, because you see you're not alone and other people struggle just like you do. And to me, that's how the enemy wants us. He wants us isolated. He wants us to feel like it's just us. And then when you get around other people, it just breathes life into you and energy and strengthens you in a way that I don't really know if I have the right words to explain. I just know it's been a huge blessing.
Yeah, I would say this. It's the type of community that you're a part of. Because I think a lot of times you can be have a friend group and they're not speaking life into your marriage.
Good point.
You know,
that's the word.
Going through and they disappear, you know, they disconnect. And so there's something about your community that stays in there with you. They're checking in on you. And that was a great analogy, Daniel, when you talked about, because I remember distinctly, you know, you had other family members that could speak into your life. You know, I had an uncle, you know, I had some aunties, you know, who could come into my life and speak into my life and
say some stuff nobody else could.
And I know I'm just saying everything she just said, but that was such a good analogy because as you said it, I was like, oh, I can see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
And so when I look back over the years, I think about you guys. One pivotal moment. I know I told you guys this, but one pivotal moment that we had. We didn't have small groups for a minute, but we started our own small groups. Well, let me say you guys started your own small group, and it was a parenting group that you had started.
Oh, yeah.
And it was right at the exact time that I didn't know if I was going to make it with my kids. I just didn't know.
Whoa, how we needed that group.
I don't know if I had anybody. So it was so good to have a community of parents at that particular time, you know, married people going through tough moments with their kids. And so I appreciate that that particular time. And I was also, I don't know if you remember this, but I was actually excited when we got married. I don't forget what the marriage group was called back then when we lived in Detroit. But I was excited to be part of this marriage group. I'm like we
graduated.
You know, it was cool being single.
Y'all was the big kids.
Yeah, we're part of the marriage group. We're kind of like this elite club that we walked in. When we walked into the room, yeah, I'm married. You married? I'm married too. And so it felt good to be part of that community, you know.
Oh man, that's funny. But you know what? I want to say really quickly. I know this isn't marriage, but it is community. I found out recently from my mom. When I grew up in Phoenix, I had 3 girlfriends. One lived on the South Side, one lived in Maryville, and the other one was in Chandler. And I lived in Scottsdale. And this was before you had the 202, the one-on-one. Our parents would have to drive forever every weekend to drop us off. And I just thought my mom loved me having some Black friends. Come to find out, a couple of years ago, my mom was like, y'all was acting up and we needed support. And so we created our own little prayer group of parents to pray for y'all. And so we would drop y'all off and then go to the other parents' house y'all weren't at and pray for y'all. And they did that for years. And I just thought my parents were being really great parents and letting me drive me across Phoenix all day long. So just wanted to say, even whether it's parenting or marriage or sisterhood, brotherhood, or just your walk in Christ, it is pivotal when you have those moments and seasons.
Yeah.
Totally agree. It is pivotal. And And I'm so glad you said that too, Angie, about tonight, of course, we are a marriage ministry, so we're going to be talking about your marriage in community. But this is not just about marriage. This is about God, the way God created us. God did not create us to be isolated. He created us to be dependent upon Him, to be dependent upon each other. There is so many verses in Scripture. Like, one of the ones that's coming to my mind right now is about confess your faults one to another that you may be healed. Right? It's like, why does God ask us to confess our faults to other people? And it's to me, it shows that that dependence that He wants us to have on each other. And what do the commandments say? The first commandment: love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the second is like this: love your neighbor like you love yourself. Right? And it's like, God shows us time and time and time again. Jesus, who is God, right, in the flesh, walking on this earth, he could have, like on in the superhero movies, they be loners, right? Jesus, the walking around on earth, but he still had disciples. He had this group of men that he was in fellowship with, that he was in communion with, so I just think that it's so important that we understand that, number one, there's nothing wrong with you if you feel that need and that desire to be in community. It's because God created you that way. God created us that way. And that you definitely are not alone. And so how do you allow the Lord to open your eyes to see all the people that He has placed around you, that you could be in communion and fellowship with?
Yeah.
I think it's the way we also carry out the scripture, seed time and harvest, in this perspective, in that when you're in a community with other marriages, you have a chance to sow into their marriage, things that you live, them observing you, the things that you speak into their life, and you have an opportunity to reap from their marriage as well as they sow into yours. So I think that's important for us. I wanted to read one scripture, Acts 5:42, and it says, "And daily in the temple and in every house they cease not to teach and preach Jesus Christ." So in the beginning, when the church first started, they were together all the time. Not only just at church, but when they came home, they would go to each other's house and continue to fellowship. And it also says another verse where they broke bread together. Ain't nothing like eating somebody's cooking. We don't need everybody cooking. But ain't nothing like sitting around the table at a friend's house, at a family member's house, and enjoying some of that good old, grandma cornbread and grain.
Yep.
So, so community, I think, just like when Jesus, He had His disciples, but He also had, outside of the 12, there were a lot of other people, a lot of other disciples that followed Him.
That's right.
Right. And that was a community that He had built, and that He cared for not so much that He broke down 5 loaves and 2 fish and fed them all. Right. So that's what makes me, that's what I think about when I think about community. I picture that, where Jesus is like, I'm going to take care of my 12. I'm going to take care of the 70 that's outside of the 12 too. And all the folks that are following. So one thing you said, I think it was you, Angie, or Dennis, where you talked about how being in community is giving you, and I summed it up as clarity, right? It's giving you a perspective on some things that was kind of fuzzy without that community. And I think the same thing for us as well, in terms of interacting with couples, seeing how they do things. Although we all kind of operate in our own gifting, we can see the gift that is on others operating in our lives as well. I mean, I think about you guys, how you flow, and how some of our small group leaders flow, like the Daniels, how they flow. We all have a different flow, but it all is a part of this community that we have built and that everybody can receive from.
Yeah, I think some of the biggest things I've learned, I'm thinking about Kevin Garvin. I remember at some point, I forgot what year it was, but we was dropping our kids off to a camp, and again, kind of talking about going through a moment in my life where things were tough parenting wise. I got a chance to. We just had a moment in the parking lot when we was dropping off our kids, and he was going through the exact same thing, and we was able to really connect. And so, when we talk about never being alone, we talk about community. I think one of the biggest things I learned is that I got people who are going through some of the similar things that I'm going through, and not to sit there that we're having a complaining session, a griping, gossiping session, but sometimes you got to get things off your chest. And it was really centered around us men at that particular time. It wasn't something that was really kind of within the marriage context. It was us husbands feeling a certain type of way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm carrying in this load as a husband, as a father. He's carrying this load as a husband and a father. And we got a chance to really glean from each other, learn from each other. And when we opened up, we talked to this day. Man, that parking lot moment was pivotal. I mean, we was able to really connect in that parking lot just based off of thing. Well, you had a small group, but we knew we was married, but we really connected because of that moment. And so I got a chance to learn from him. He got a chance to learn from me. But then there's always something that you can learn from somebody else. There's times where you're sitting afar, you're listening to another person's marriage, whether good or bad. There could be some moments where they're bad, but when they're saying something good, I think God for those people who are growing, developing in their marriage, and they say, "This is what I did," and you're like, "Man, that's cool. I never thought about that." And so it gives me an opportunity to learn from other marriages and how they date their wives, how they minister to their wife, how they treat their wives. Because maybe I'm not. Why are you laughing?
I'm sorry. I'm laughing at Tawana. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you.
Oh, I thought she was laughing at me. So I think sometimes when you get a chance to listen to how other people are doing in their marriage and how they're taking it to a whole nother level, it makes you want to step up. So I thank God for those perspectives, especially when people are talking about how it started and how it looks now. So I love those moments.
Okay, I want to tell us more, because you know what? Interestingly enough, I think this is very common. Like, I don't think you guys are weird or alone even in this. As much as we encourage community, I also know that their community is not easy to form. It's not. We are over the course of this series of us talking about this, we're going to talk about some of the challenges of community. Like, for example, next week we're going to talk about how can you be transparent without throwing your spouse under the bus, right? Because sometimes the reason why people don't show up at a marriage small group is because either one thinks that the other one might throw them under the bus, right? And they don't want to be embarrassed in front of other people. They don't want people in their quote business, right? And so that is a normal feeling that people might have. Another thing that we're going to talk about is, what about, let's just be real, being in community, sometimes people get on your last nerve, right? People, you may feel betrayed by people, or just some people's personality just really rubs you the wrong way, right? So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about how do you cultivate the friendships so that it's not just you're just showing up for a quote small group, but you're not really invested in the people that are in the group. It's like you're there because we telling you should go to a small group, or because your church is telling you should be in a small group, but there's really, like, you're not really getting the full benefit of it. And so I do think that there's, if we just being completely honest, that it is not easy to be in community all of the time. You know, there's a lot of benefits to it, but there's also a lot of work that goes into it, a lot of growth. Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't just happen. It's just like marriage, right? It's work.
Yeah, we've been grinding for 10 years on this, right? And
the four of us.
Yeah, we've been grinding for 10 years on creating Living Well, and what we have is purpose built, right? Things that we've wanted in our own lives, the community that we want is the one that we've sown. And it's not been easy, right? It's been plenty of times where we're like what Tawana said, almost thrown in the towel. But by the grace of God, right? We just kept grinding it out. Bullocks moved, and we didn't see that coming. And they were like, at first, we were asked at one point in time, well, okay, so Bullock's gone, so now, it's going. Like, no, they right there in Florida. We have technology. We have Zoom. We can continue, to work with them. Now our focus is here in Arizona, but hey, our thought is that we could build community all over the country, right? Because we have people now. They're in Florida, and so we got a pocket of folks over there in Florida. Tawana, you guys are there in Atlanta, so
Atlanta area.
We can work with you to help build or create community there in Atlanta. We got the technology, y'all, to stay connected, right? It's funny how we have all this connected technology and we're more disconnected than ever before.
Yes,
because instead of really connecting with the people right beside you, you're sitting beside somebody and you're on your phone, or you are trying to communicate with people elsewhere.
Or I think we know people because we see them what they post on social media, right? So for those of us who are actively involved on social media, there's a false sense of connection. There's a false sense that you really know people because of what you see them posting. And there could be a whole nother backstory to what's happening in people's lives. And so Bullocks, what do you guys think? When you see what Tawana is saying about, because I know when you guys left, right? Because it was kind of like you had to start over from scratch with making new relationships. So how did you guys handle it?
I would say what Tawana's talking about, I know very, very well, because that's what we've had to go through here as well. I don't know, and you can definitely speak to it too, but I don't know, like she said, people are living life. And it seems like people are so really, really busy that it's hard to make authentic connections. And we have the same thing. People say they want to connect and they're unresponsive. They just don't show up. But now, after a couple of years, we are starting to have a few people here that we're hanging out with, couples that we're hanging out with. It just, I don't know, was Phoenix easy or something? I don't know. But I don't know if it's the age. I don't know if it's COVID made things weird. I don't know if it's social media makes things weird. It's a lot more like we're in and we're down. Let's go. But finding other people who are willing to give their time and pour as much energy in, especially at this age in your 50s, is different. That's his opinion. He's gonna talk on his, but I'm like, it's different. Yeah.
I think sometimes. So yeah, it was very difficult for us. I think we found our first connection. We was actually counseling a couple, and they didn't have a lot going on. I mean, as far as why they need to be in counseling, I felt like they were just coming in for a tune-up, and we wound up hanging out with them. And then
we don't do that normally either.
And so we enjoyed their time, and then they wind up moving. And I was like, what's going on? I thought we was trying to build community. I thought, we was going a little far. I don't think we throw in the towel. I think you just keep on being patient, praying. But I do understand, because just everything that she had said, I do it. But I think sometimes we're living in a day and age where people feel unsafe. People,
that's very true.
We're also competitive too, And so if we hear, my life is like this, my life, I got all this going on. And if you feel threatened by somebody else's, all this other type of stuff, sometimes you'll pull back, or you might be going through. You just might be going through in your marriage. And, some people just don't want to connect. I don't want to connect right now. And I wanted to ask you guys that question. What would you say to somebody who you're trying to build a community with? And what I'm thinking about is that I have had people in our small group when it was in Phoenix, and I can tell the wife brought her husband, and the husband did not want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I could see it all on his face. He was just like in it. And I, as a leader, had to break that down. I mean, I intentionally went up to him every single time he came and talked with them. I said little silly jokes. I would kind of point them out. And he warmed up, and he wound up saying towards the end of our small group semester, he wound up saying to me, he says, we want to start a small group. And I want to say, if it wasn't for you kind of talking with me and all this other type of stuff, I wouldn't want to even be here. I was really coming because my wife wanted to come. So community can be hard, and it depends on the person. It depends on the situation. But I do believe the times make it a little more difficult. As she said, all those other things are going into it. But don't throw in the towel. There's people who are waiting for what you guys have. So that's what I say to T-Money.
Yeah, and I'll say that part of building community is building safety. Right? Building a place where people can feel like they can let their hair down. They can be vulnerable, both men and women. And I remember a long time ago, I think it was Liddell. He was saying that part of what drew him was the way we treated our spouses, right? Because he was like, that's not the way I operated. But when I saw what you guys were doing, that softened my heart toward my own wife, right? So building safety or doing the little things in your community that model what should be normal, right? Because we know that there's a world normal and then there's a biblical normal. And so when you come into our community or into our space, you should see the social norm that looks like what the Bible is, telling us to do.
I think that Kathy brought up a really good point. I think people don't really want to deal with the realness of where their marriage is. That could be true. That could be true. Sometimes couples don't know what to talk about when they're with other couples to build a relationship. I definitely think that's true. For me, I'm not sure what to share about our relationship and not sure what to talk about in the relationship. I think that's very, very common because that's, to me, that's the thing about when you're in a marriage small group that maybe is different from being in another type of group. Your spouse is sitting right next to you, right? They can hear everything you're saying, and you are trying to use wisdom. You're trying to be kind. You're trying to share about your experience, knowing that this other person is a part of that experience, right? So what do you guys have to say to someone who is like, it feels so awkward being in a marriage group, and, I don't want to say too much because I know if I say this, it's going to be an argument in the ride home. The last time we were in a group, my spouse was mad at me because I said too much. And, I want to be more open, but I don't know what I can share, what I can't share. Vernon, I would love for you to chime in on answering that question too, because I think that you and your wife, Shanika, and I'm saying this specifically for people who don't know who you guys are, you guys have done an excellent job of being very transparent and being in agreement about what you share. So Vernon, I would love to hear what you think about that. But Angie, Daniel,
so I think I'll chime in first. I think that if you're talking about small group, where you're in a small group and there's kind of a set way that you kind of go through the meeting, from a leader perspective, you just kind of set the ground rules, right? And if you set some ground rules on how we treat each other, the types of things that we talk about, the types of things that we share, and if you're not,
excellent point,
if you're not comfortable at first, then just listen, right? So listening to what's going on and what types of things are being shared by other couples, and observing that can give you a clue as to the culture of the group and what is okay to be shared. And some of it you just gonna have to do what's in your heart, and it may be right, it may not be, and you'll figure it out, right? Because everything is not going to be perfect. You're not always going to say the right thing, and it's okay. That's what a small group is for, is to allow you to be vulnerable and to not get it right all the time.
Okay, well, what if, and I think that is an excellent point about what you just said about it's you got to be vulnerable and you're not going to get it right all the time. But what if your spouse is very resistant to coming, and you know this person better than we do, right? And you know that if you say the wrong thing, they might not ever come back to the group again.
Yeah, so I would just go back to the first thing I said there, which is just listen, and zip your lips, right? And just listen to everybody, because you got a lot of different perspectives.
Yeah,
that's going to hit you in the group that may give you a clue as to how to say what you want to say. Because I think when you're in that space, you're trying to get help, or you want some perspective, but you don't want to offend your spouse.
That's right,
and that's okay.
That's right.
So
that's
just
good,
take in the perspectives, pray about it, see, and sometimes you may get your answer without even saying anything because you heard it from somebody else.
Yeah,
that's so good.
I think there's something else that's going on that I think when you go to these, we're talking about small group, when you go into these settings and you're resistant to come, that means something else is going on. And I think the whole thing, that the reason why this is happening is for you to confront it. So my wife wants to go to this small group. I don't want to be around people. I don't really want to go, and I want nobody knowing my business. And that's fine. That's I don't think there's nothing wrong with that, because sometimes people don't need to know your business, especially if you're not ready to share it.
Right.
But I think for us, we came to a point, and I'm not speaking for her, but I'm speaking for me. I came to the point where I don't care anymore. I don't care what people think of me. I used to care what people think. But this is what we went through. And if you don't like it or not, this is our story. Now, I'm not going to share anything that's going to make her look bad. I'm not going to, try to undermine her or anything like that. I'm not trying to make her look bad in front of other people, because this is my wife. And so I think you got to use wisdom and be aware of what you're saying, And so, but if there's stuff that's going on, I believe that what you're saying, you come into a small group, even though you're quiet and you're not saying anything, it's forcing you to confront this situation. And sometimes when you don't feel a level of comfortability, now you've got some confrontation that you might have to deal with and say, I need to address why I feel this way around this. I need to find out why am I like this? Because my wife doesn't want me to be this way. So I need some help.
And it may be not so much confrontation at small group, it's in that internal confrontation.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Correct.
Of what's going on and why do I feel this way and things like that. And I think what Vernon said was excellent, because to me that happens, it does start at home, where it starts to be, maybe it's an internal confrontation I'm doing that leads to a conversation between me and you, and now we're getting more comfortable to talk about things, and being able to set some boundaries, because I was thinking that too, if I know my spouse is uncomfortable, what are you okay with me talking about?
Yes.
Yes. I was literally thinking the same thing. Look at you, go, we flowing. But I was thinking the same thing, because to me, if I know my spouse is uncomfortable, if we have a conversation beforehand and I'm able to kind of know what you are comfortable with, it will help me to be more comfortable in that setting, and you too. Hopefully.
It's like you got to know your crowd, because there's some things I can say around y'all I couldn't say.
That's
to
right.
Other people.
That's
be
right.
Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he said that. And I can say some crazy things at sometimes, but
No,
and you have to, and I'll let you go. And you had to get to that place with us, right? So
Yes.
you cannot build community
Mm-hmm.
without connection. You have to be able to cross that bridge. You have to desire that, I'm not going to stay on this side of the bridge because I want to be a part of the community. All right. Community's on the other side of the bridge. So you got to cross. Otherwise you kind of stay in your place and you don't get the benefit of the community.
Yeah.
I've been recently, I don't know who I was listening to, but they talked about the difference between being transparent and being vulnerable, right? And so sometimes I think that we're trying to be vulnerable when what we really should be doing is being transparent. And so like to the point that Vernon is making, he said, before I was able to talk about our past, Shanika and I set some ground rules until I was more comfortable. So let's say this is your first time or even just your first semester in a small group, in a marriage group. These are all brand new people. Your spouse, you wanted them to come. They finally show up for the group. That's not your opportunity to get in that group and just every problem, every issue, every challenge, right? Like you said, Angie, and then, right? We think that's being vulnerable. We're being vulnerable by sharing so much. Like you don't even know if these people are safe. Your spouse don't even know if these people are safe enough for you to be doing that. It's okay to be transparent and say, hey, y'all, we're here. We're not necessarily going to say a whole lot, but we here in the room, we still learning. That's being transparent. Like, I'm not going to tell you everything until I really get to know you, until I feel safe with you, like I feel safe with my spouse or all those things. And so I think that that's one of the ways to kind of support you and thinking about what to share and what not to share. I think that what Vernon has said has a lot of wisdom in it, that if you gotta be in a place where you and your spouse can talk and have hard conversations. And then once you are like work through that, like that might take you a while, right? Just doing that. Right. And you showing up at a meeting is wonderful. Even in that, like, hey, I don't have a lot to say. I'm here. I'll share, a couple stories here, a couple stories there, but I'm not going to maybe share as much as maybe someone else who's in a different place with their spouse. But you got to start somewhere.
That's the nuance with being in a marriage group.
Yes.
Like when you're in a group where it's not marriage, and so it's not always the two of you, then you don't have somebody else that you need to bounce things off of.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes when you don't have that, you get in more trouble than when you do, because you don't have that other person to kind of balance you out or bounce that off before you go and spill it to a whole bunch of other people. So when you're in a marriage, you should be discussing at home. Okay, we got this problem and I want to talk about it tonight.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Good.
At the small group, because the small group is talking about finances, or the small group is talking about sex, and we got this issue or that issue. Are you comfortable with that? Have that conversation at home or on the way or whatever, and whatever you guys agree on in terms of your comfort level, that's what you share.
Love that. So asking your spouse, what can I share? Right?
Yeah.
Like maybe y'all been arguing about money and y'all both frustrated. You having a hard time having a conversation about it. You know that in the meeting you want to kind of get some insight, some wisdom from your other people in your group, and you can say, hey, well, what can I say? What would make you feel comfortable with me sharing? Right.
Because we have everybody got their issues, and let's say this is the hypothetical: spouse got a gambling problem, and y'all having issues with money, and then you show up at the meeting, and you're like, well, my spouse be gambling away all our money.
What?
You to him about sharing that. So that wasn't okay for you to do that, right?
Right.
And if you do it, there is grace, because hopefully you made a mistake, right?
Yeah.
There is grace, and you're not going to get blasted by the group or by your leader, because we got people that's got wisdom and are being led by the Holy Ghost.
Yes, that's right, being led, and we're assuming you. Right, thank you for that. We are assuming you are in a group where your leaders, or leaders with an S, have wisdom, godly wisdom. They are discerning people who keep your group on track, and they want God's will to be done in your meetings. They're praying for you, all those things. And so in that environment where people are working to do things in alignment with God's will and God's ways, then yes, this will be effective. And if you're in a group and that's not happening, then maybe it's time for you to find another group. Like if you've been going, for a year to a small group with your spouse, and that person has not really felt comfortable, felt safe in that group, because maybe people calling each other in between the meetings, talking about what so-and-so said or didn't do and all that stuff, then that means it's time for you to find another group.
The meeting should be safe. And you should be able to bring your issues and not feel like, there's a bunch of eyes on you and judging you for whatever problem you're going through.
Yeah.
Because we all got our problems.
Yeah. And I want to say too, like if a couple, like what we just said is very foreign, like let's talk beforehand and get some to try small and go from there, right? And just stick with like one thing and just remember that this is something that everybody has to work at. I would say with us doing counseling, we have not had one couple come in yet that didn't feel like they had communication problems. Every single couple, I'm not kidding, every single couple we deal with feels like they have communication problems. So, and all of them are shocked when we say it's not just you. Everybody kind of feels like it's them. So just wanted to say a little bit of encouragement. Start small and don't feel the pressure that you have to get this like perfect. And let's say you do ask your spouse, what can I share? And they're like, nothing. Like, okay, well, ask questions. You know what I mean? Like ask Holy Ghost to help you not be like, let me fight, let me yell. But why don't you feel comfortable? What could I do to help you feel comfortable? But just wanted to encourage, because I know that's not always the easiest thing for people.
And in our community, what you can do if you don't feel like you can share, or that you're not given the leeway to do that by your spouse, then maybe just ask, can we at least have the group pray for us in this area?
That's right.
We ain't got to tell them what's going on. Just say, we need prayer about our finances. So we need prayer about whatever.
Start small. If that's what you need to do.
And a part of community, and y'all can chime into this, a part of community is ownership, right? Taking not just being there, but taking ownership and as doing something, having some action, for the group.
Yes.
And maybe that is if your group don't have a prayer list and you're like, well, we don't want to share, but we want prayer. So we will write down prayer requests. And we'll take that part of the meeting or of the group. And we ain't gonna pray for them, but we'll write them down and give them to Angie. Whatever it is, something small, right? That you feel like. And we were talking to somebody about. We just had 2 new marriage groups start, and one of the things that we teach.
4.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wait, 4.
Yeah,
we had
the 2 that we did.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, 4.
So we had we teach kind of, this is how you do small group, basically is what we share. And with that, we were kind of sharing with them that when you have your group, because a lot of small group leaders do this, they take everything on themselves and they don't give anything to the rest of the group. Like for instance, when you got 5 of the couples in the group, the meeting should move from house to house. But we've had several times where the meeting would stay at the leader's house, right? And what that does when you move it from house to house is it gives everybody else ownership in that meeting, right? Or as a part of that group. And when you do food, instead of you doing all of the food and you doing the drinks and the ice and utensils, share that out to everybody else. Now they got a reason to show up and they feel like they are needed, which they are. Because if you don't show up, we can't eat our food because we ain't got no forks. So that's a part of building community, right? Yeah. Little things like that builds community and makes people feel that they are a part and that they have a purpose in that meeting or in that group.
I think what was said earlier too about making it a safe place is a really, really big deal. And I think it's not giving up on each other, even when you see maybe people around you are not as willing to jump in and put their foot in the water or be consistent or whatever. But I think the day and times we live in is really a big deal that people just don't feel safe. And emotional safety is like a thing right now. Where being vulnerable, being transparent, it's not the most like let's go do it. It's more like I don't know.
But that's why I said, like, internally, that that confrontational that you're going through, I believe that sometimes is telling you to step out. And I think that's another thing where building community and taking ownership, not being just a spectator but a participator. Sometimes you might have to show yourself friendly. You might have to engage in different things that you would normally not go to.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get comfortable in how community organically organically kind of comes together, and you're like, ooh, okay, that was easy. But then sometimes you want to stretch yourself.
That's right. Come on, Dennis. Yes.
Go to you just go there. You might have to go to a fraternity or sorority you've been part of and reach back out to those people, even though you probably don't communicate with those groups of people anymore, in order to maybe not just try to have people for yourself, but you might be in a mode of teaching, and you never know what people are going to start arising from that you'll be connecting with. You might need to go back to one of your old organizations, or I don't know. But I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. Is that
I think
you might have to stretch yourself.
I think, like, if I use Phoenix versus Jacksonville as an example, Phoenix was just easy. Like, after church, folks want to kick it. Like, our events are a great example. We have had multiple events, like the famous one where Daniel was on the mic kicking people out, like where folks didn't want to go home.
I didn't want to kick people out. They made me kick people out.
We had no choice. But where people wanted to fellowship for hours afterwards.
Yes.
Where now here is a very like our church, as soon as church is over, it's like nothing I've seen before. It's like it is a exit. Everybody's for the door. And it's not too many people who actually stay and talk. And so I think even listening to this for myself when it comes to community and marriage community, because we do have a couple of couples out here from our marriage small group out here that are fabulous. But I think it is having to be a little bit more intentional, put a little bit more action on my side, because I am so used to it just being natural and organic. And I think of the people out here I know who have a really great community. They are like, we had to make it happen. Like, we created our own community. We like made it happen. Like, we like created events and invited people, and we just kept doing it and doing it and doing it until people felt safe with us. So I'm like, this is speaking to me, my doggone self. Like, okay, like, it's probably a little bit more effort than what I've had to do in the past, because in the past it's just been so naturally organic and easy peasy.
Yeah, and we have had people that we know that they were big, trying to connect with people, and they would invite us to a lot of stuff. And then we would say ourselves, man, that's almost 50 miles away. I don't know about going there. And so you got to be committed to once it comes to you, because there's probably people who are looking for community just as much as you are. I guess I'm speaking to Tawana. And so you just got to be open and know to yourself to say, hey, if somebody is trying to reach out, let me try to open myself. But everything is relative. We got we got small group leaders who live just around the corner from us. They're not that far, and they invite us to everything.
Yeah. And they're cool. We spend
time with them. But then there's some people who want to connect with us, and they stay way on the other side of town,
like almost an hour.
And it's like, I would love to connect. I really, really,
maybe
really
can
would.
We meet halfway? Yeah.
But the budget says no.
One of the things that we did when we first started small groups was at the church, we knew some couples that we felt God was, pointing us to. And so we reached out to them, and when we were starting Living Well, we just said, hey, we want you to be a part of this. And that's how we, got started with Living Well. And so just be praying about other couples that God is putting in your space that you may not have connected with now. We got couples now where we know of them and we see them in passing. We may have gone out with them once or twice. And it's just a matter of now just reaching out to them and asking them to be a part, and those couples that we have originally asked, most of them are gone. And we got a new group of folks that are kind of in our circle now. So,
yeah.
Tawana make my eyes water, boy.
We love Tawana.
That is hilarious. we understand, Tawana. We understand.
I love
Okay.
Tawana gonna be real.
I know we got to wrap on up, but I was wondering, just kind of speaking about Tawana, I wonder if it's a Southern thing. I feel like,
I don't know.
I don't know, because I seem like when we moved out here, it's like people are a little more protective, and then like, who are you? These new people. Where you come from? Phoenix. So it's kind of like are people a little more protective, and I don't want you coming into our group. I don't know if that's something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
but
I
then
don't know
she's
what it
met
is
somebody and they are already inviting us to go out to eat and everything like that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think for me personally too, I told God I was like, Lord, I'm not the most surface person. I really do like real interactions. And I asked God for real people here. And I asked God for fun people and prayer partners. And for me, because that's the way I've been praying, I'm like, I gotta be patient. Because I'm asking for some, I'm asking for a specific thing. So I'm like, I need to be patient with that and let God lead me. So
Bernie's commenting about these Atlanta people too. So I got to figure out these Atlanta people.
here too. Okay.
Atlanta's on a whole nother level.
Oh.
So I wanted to share for people that are local to where we are. So we're in Phoenix. Our church is Faith Christian Center. If you are looking for a small group, we want to encourage you to join one of the marriage small groups that our church offers. So I'm gonna post the link in the chat. Hold on, I'm doing that right now for people that are interested and you want to join a marriage group. So when you get to this page on the church's website, you'll see small groups. And then to join a small group, right now the small groups are open. Hopefully you're still seeing that. No, I guess you're not, huh?
Just share the screen.
I was sharing the screen. Hold on one second. I guess I'll just share the whole window.
Or entire screen. Okay.
Okay, so let's try this again. What do y'all see? Yeah, no, that doesn't work either. Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'll just go back to sharing the tab like I was. Okay, so when you click on the small group tab, you'll see all the different groups that the church offers. So if you're interested in a marriage group, you would click types, and then you would choose marriage, and then you'll see all the different groups that we offer. So we have this semester, we are so proud and thankful to say we have 9 different groups happening all throughout the Valley. And we just want to encourage you, if you are looking for community, if this is a desire of your heart, and you just want one step for how you could take a step in that direction, this would be a good way to take a step in that direction. By going to fccphoenix.com/small-groups, choose join a small group. And then once you get to the group vitals page where all the groups, then choose one of the marriage groups that you can. And then one of our amazing small group leaders like Vernon or several others We're hoping to actually interview some of our marriage small group leaders while we're doing this series.
We will be interviewing the Daniels.
Okay.
We will be interviewing the Garvins.
Awesome.
And the Alexanders.
Awesome.
So that's 3 who have accepted. And so we'll be talking to y'all. They'll be on live with us this month.
Awesome. So then you get to meet and talk to and hear from some of the marriage small group leaders. So, all right. So anything else, y'all, before we wrap this up?
I'm good. You good?
So I just want to ask if you would please share this video. The videos actually don't live on Facebook permanently anymore. After about a month, I think that's when they get removed now, but they live permanently on our YouTube channel. So if you would please share this with people and that you know in community, that you're in community with, and tell them about, this resource that's available to them to support them in their marriage, and then any type of topics or ideas or thoughts that you guys have, we are 100% open to hearing from all of you. Anything else?
And if anybody asks you, why would I come to a small group, or why would I want to get involved with your community? Just tell them, we're here to support, give clarity, perspective. We're a safe space, right? And again, it just gives you some a community of people around you to support your marriage and to help you grow and thrive.
Amen. All right, y'all. Until next time.
Peace.
Bye, y'all.
Good night.
Play that out.